Hello, my name is Matt Woosnam. I am originally from the UK and I am a mindset and uh, guided meditation hypnosis coach. I help people overcome their mental roadblocks to get them to their goals and success in health, wealth, and relationships.
Before we get into all of that, Matt, let me ask you, what do you think people's first impression of you is?
Quiet, shy, definitely introverted. I'm usually the one standing on the outside of the circle, listening and watching. So, yeah.
So, how did you get started doing what you do?
So I've always liked psychology and what makes people tick. But it wasn't until my dad passed away when I was 26 that I had a friend who had studied as a hypnotherapist, and he he suggested that I go see him so we could do a few sessions just to help with my grief and I did, and it helped a lot, and I liked the way it made me feel, and I thought, well, why can't I do something like this and make people feel good and better from where they were, take them to that next place. So I found a mentor and someone who would teach me, who'd been doing hypnotherapy for 30 plus years. And ironically, he was one of my dad's good friends too. So he took me under his wing, and yeah, I started doing that. And that was maybe 15 years ago.
Wow. So, I'm sorry for your loss.
Not quite 15, 13. Yeah.
Probably feels like a long time.
It's one of those things that it sounds really callous, but I've blanked out to some effect. It's this strange. I don't know, but yeah.
You
And thank
figured
you.
out how to live through it and move
Yeah.
and live on, right?
Hmm. Correct. Correct.
Um, well, I'm sorry again for your loss.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Um, Before that event in your life, did you ever have any draw to meditation? Were you meditating? Were you in that space for yourself?
Not really. I was always quiet as a kid. I was very active. Love playing sport, but not really so much meditation. I think I like I like my alone time, as any introvert does. So I guess reading books is, I've come to learn that anything can be meditative. It doesn't have to be, sitting on the floor on a pillow with candles that going that kind of thing. So anything that kind of quietens your inner self. So yeah, maybe reading books or drawing. Yeah.
Anything that's really holding space for you,
Hmm.
right? And allowing your mind to free itself from all of the external chatter.
Correct. Correct. Yep.
Yeah, agreed. People think of meditation, like you said, as sitting in a room, either on a pillow on the floor, but Indian style, sat up, hands on your legs, close your eyes, and just be.
Yep.
Yeah, there's that, which is also super freeing. But you can meditate while walking down the beach. It's about being in your space, right? I love meditating. Can you tell? Where did you grow up?
In a small town called Risca, which is in the southeast of Wales in the UK. Wales is the country that everyone forgets about because we don't have much of a marketing point. I mean, Scotland has, men in kilts and whiskey, and Ireland has leprechauns on St. Patrick's Day, and England is, well, England, but we don't really have much other than Tom Jones, Shirley Bassey, and sheep. So a lot of sheep in Wales.
And what brought you across the pond?
My wife is from here.
Oh, nice. And how did you guys meet?
So I was on my own traveling just around the States for like 3 weeks to a month, I think. And on my way home, I was flying back from Tampa. Florida, and she was at the airport bar, and I sat next to her, and we started chatting and traded business cards, and then did emails and phone calls, and here I am.
And how long ago was that?
That was 2011.
Okay. So
Yeah,
10 years ago, if my
yeah,
math is right
yep,
now.
yep,
Well,
yep.
that's awesome. So tell me a little bit about that courtship, and then I have another question for you.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of difficult because obviously you're so far away. You don't get to see each other as often as you'd like. But we did, Skype. Luckily, technology was there for the whole kind of online thing, and emails and phone calls, and but yeah, it was. We kind of visited each other as much as we could financially and time. We both had jobs going on, and so yeah.
Awesome. So that was actually going to be my next question.
Okay.
What were you doing at the time that you handed her your business card?
So I was doing hypnotherapy back home, and I was also working at a fitness center. So the best way to describe it, I've been told, is it's kind of like a YMCA. It's like a council, which is our local government run fitness center. It has like a pool and a fitness center and a big sports hall where you can play like multiple different sports, at tennis courts, like just a big kind of fitness center. So I was like a deputy manager of that.
So you managed to tie in, I think, two parts of your life. You talked about being athletic and you were working at the fitness center, and then you were also doing the hypnotherapy. Tell me about how important you feel like that hypnotherapy and the meditative and holding space can be in the athletic part of someone's life.
Well, I've helped like some sports people. I've had sessions with kind of MMA fighters, and they've worked really well. I mean, I think the one guy that I had a session with, and I can't take obviously all the credit because he's in the ring doing it. But he knocked the guy in like 10 seconds. And that was after a string of a few losses. So um, yeah, I was watching it live, and it just felt good because you felt like you played a little bit of a part in it, obviously. But the whole mental aspect of sport is seriously important. It's all that visualization and going through the motions before you've actually done anything, is vitally important for any sports person. I mean, you just look at basketball players taking free throws, and they take free throws in their head thousands of times even before they've touched the ball. So yeah, super important.
Yeah. And on the flip side of that, if you aren't going through your emotions in your head and your head is clouded with other things, you're not going to be focused on what you need to do, whether it's the free throw, whether it's the knockout, or
Hmm.
even football. I mean, you can't catch the pass if your mind is elsewhere.
Right, exactly. And it transfers to every aspect of life, really. I mean, if you have a clouded mind, that manifests itself fairly usually negatively in other aspects. So that's one of the things I teach is, there's so much marketing or, draw on people having an online business or getting into relationships. But unless you work on yourself at that kind of base level, mentally, physically, um, spiritually, if that's what you're into, there's no point in going to that next level of dealing with wealth or relationships.
I
So,
agree. Happiness comes from your own heart,
yeah,
and you can't be whole for someone else if you're not whole for yourself.
exactly. You can't, how do you expect someone else to love you if you don't love yourself?
Exactly. Exactly. And you can't go through next to somebody in life if you're unhappy, expecting the relationship to be happy,
Right.
because you
Exactly.
can't be present in that moment if you're elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's exactly it. Yeah.
I agree 100%. Absolutely. Um, so this actually feeds into a really interesting question I wanted to ask you. So that moment at the bar where you meet your wife in
Hmm.
the airport on your way home, do you think that you would have been open and been as present if you hadn't have been putting in all the work that you had been leading up to?
Um, no, I don't, because the usual part of me is like, keep my head down and just be myself, and, just a fear of talking to people, one on one. I'm good at talking to people one on one if I've been initiated, but the other way around, not so much, which is, so yes, I believe that I was a bit more open to talk to someone. And it's also, taking that, being outside your comfort zone, which I've done a lot more since, I've started doing this and studying psychology and all that kind of thing. So yeah.
And fear guides us through so many things, aka keeping us from so many
Mhm.
more.
It's the
And
most powerful emotion we have.
yes, yes, and it really takes over. It
Hmm.
is an interesting thing. You'll go to take a step and you're like, "Oh, but should I?" And not even a physical step, a mental step, and you get held back by what could be, but you don't even know if that's what is.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So the way I try and combat that is to channel the fear into something positive. And also, uh, with clients, I try and use whatever they regard as pleasure, because that is something also that we have in abundance, that we is a driving factor for any person, is pleasure and whatever.
Exactly what puts that smile on your face.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what is something that would surprise people to know about you?
I think being a hypnotist is probably the most surprising. Like everywhere I go, people don't wouldn't expect me to do that. So that's probably the most surprising. Um, I, maybe being good, fairly good at all sports. Uh, I've always been able to pick up any sport and be pretty good at it, fairly quickly. So yeah, I've always played everything, from basketball to American football to soccer to cricket to pool to darts, anything I've always been interested in. So yeah,
Yeah, I can
that,
see that where, like you said, you're so mellow, and then to be playing something competitive is a
yeah,
little bit of a contrast.
yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, that would be a little surprising even to me. Do you have a favorite sport that you've picked up?
um, I love rugby. I only played a little bit in school, because I'm not the build for rugby. I'm long and slim, and yeah, it's definitely a big guys game. But I love watching rugby on TV. I used to play basketball pretty regularly in a league back home, but I haven't for a long time.
Well, it's so nice to have this conversation and hear all of the things that you're into that are on every side of life. The meditative aspect, the holding space for yourself, the holding space for others, and the desire to want others to be better them, right?
Yeah,
And I love that. And then of course the active side, that's the social aspect in the realm that you want it to be, right? Kind of
yeah.
like a cat. I'm as social as I want to be when I want to be. And then
And
I'm
then I'm
gonna
gonna knock things off the table when I want.
yes. Yes. Well, I really appreciated your time this morning, and I'm beyond grateful for you making time to sit down with me. Is there anything that I may have missed about you that you want to share about yourself?
Um, no, I think, I appreciate you for taking the time also and asking, very nice questions. I think I just want people to understand that there's a lot more to them than the box that they've put themselves or society's put themselves in. Um, what we think is our reality isn't necessarily our reality. Just because someone says it is doesn't mean that it's got to be that way all the time.
Possibilities, right?
Possibilities.
An opportunity await anybody that had opened their mind to them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. I understand. I feel you. I agree. Well, as we close out our conversation, I just want to ask you one final thing.
Hmm.
As you're going about, whether it's playing sports, reading, working, if you could hold up a sign that said one thing about Matt, what would you want people to know about you?
I guess there's just more going on inside than what you see. Never judge a book by its cover. Um, I think that's the same with everyone. And I think people go around day to day so self-involved that they don't necessarily see what else is going on in someone else's life. So yeah, maybe I guess that's not just a me thing, that's a for everyone thing.